Here in the UK and indeed over most of Europe, we're having to keep a check on our heating bills because charges have gone up. And despite repeated requests to Octopus, I still have to go outside and read the meter because I haven't yet received the smart meter promised on many occasions. But what happens if we have a complete power failure? Well, let's look at the Midland emergency kit. Well, welcome to the Waters and Stanton video channel. We're shooting this video in the winter. Now, we are going through an energy crisis at the moment here in the UK and in quite a large part of Europe, I think. You could be at home, or you could be in your camper van or in your caravan, or may even be in a tent. And you have power failure. You've got no light, you've got no heating. And you want to know what's going on in the world, or what's going on locally. You need the local radio to find out what's happening. Well, this emergency pack from Midland may be the answer. So let's take a look at the Midland emergency pack and how it might help you in an emergency. The kit comes in a sturdy black carry case, and we open it. Inside we've got a radio, a pair of handhelds, and some goodies tucked in the back pocket. 1, 2, 3, 4. These actually are thermal blankets to keep you warm if you're really cold. And of course we mustn't forget the instructions. The centrepiece of the kit is this radio, or it's more than just a radio actually. It's in a plastic case, but it feels quite chunky and I think it's quite robust. It can be powered in several different ways, so let's take a look. So often in an emergency you find you've got flat batteries, but there's no risk of that with this radio. You've got a crank generator on the back, and apparently 1 minute of cranking will give you 9 minutes of radio playback. It may also make your arm ache, but who cares in an emergency? But if the sun's out, you can always use the solar panel to recharge the radio. Apparently 30 minutes of sunshine gives you 1 hour of radio play. Let's hope the sun's out before your favourite programme starts. Removing the battery cover on the rear reveals the battery compartment. You've got a main battery, which is a 2200 milliamp hour rechargeable battery. That's quite large for a radio. And there's also facilities for 6 AA cells, but the main battery, the 2200 milliamp hour battery, is the one that the crank arm charges. I think the AA batteries are somewhat of a backup. If we lift up the flap at the end of the radio, it reveals some sockets. From left to right, we have battery selector switch rechargeable, or the AA cells, a USB input for charging the radio, a USB output for charging your phone or something like that, and a headphone socket. And to the right of the flap is the telescopic radio aerial. It can't have escaped your notice that there's a light on the front of this radio. First position is a narrow beam, the next position is a wider beam, and the third position is a lamp that sends SOS. One has to assume that the intended recipient can read Morse code, of course. So let's now have a look at the main controls on the radio and see what they do. Top left light is the charge indicator, which also lights up when you're winding the dynamo. The first main button is the band switch, which switches from AM to FM, but also functions as the on-off button. A quick press switches the unit on, and a 2-second press switches the unit off. The next button is the menu button. This allows you to set the time and also adjust the period which the backlight remains on. The next 2 buttons are the up-down volume controls, and the last 2 are for tuning the radio and also for adjusting the clock. The radio covers the complete medium wave band and the FM broadcast band. Now the button on the top used to switch the light on has a secondary function. If you hold it in for more than 2 seconds, it switches on a dog whistle. I tried it but couldn't hear anything, but I didn't want to persist because I didn't want my house surrounded by dogs. There's a built-in far-right antenna for the medium wave band and of course the whip for FM band, and the reception on both bands was perfectly fine. Also included in the kit are a pair of XT30 PMR446 handhelds. Basically, these are license-free UHF handhelds. They typically have a range of between 1 and 2 kilometres. The radios have 16 channels, and together with the 38 CSS coding, there's more than enough combinations for privacy. The radios use rechargeable batteries, and included in the kit are 2 sets of rechargeable AAA cells for the radios. Well, it's quite an interesting kit actually. I should explain it's called the EK35 Ever Ready kit. I refer to it as the emergency kit because I thought that's probably a fair description of it. Anyway, Midland know it as the EK35. And it's quite a comprehensive combination. Now, the other thing I should explain is that those 2 handhelds can be charged from USB. And if you recall earlier in this video, I said that that radio has a USB output socket for charging. So you can actually charge those 2 handhelds from the radio, which has got a 2,200 milliamp hour internal battery. And I suppose you can charge that battery by cranking it up. So it's quite an interesting combination. You can charge the internal battery by cranking it up. You can charge the radios, the little handhelds from the main radio by plugging it in with the cables that are provided. And if the battery goes down a bit, you can crank it up. So you've got plenty of options for powering the radio, and likewise plenty of options for powering those little handhelds. So if you're going to go camping, or you're going to go caravanning, you're going to go on the beach, you're going to go to a music festival, or you want something at home in case the electricity fails, you've got no lights, you've got no heating, you've got no electricity. At least with this you've got light and you've got radio and you've got the ability to walk around and talk one to another with a pair of handhelds. Quite an interesting combination. So there we are, and that of course is available on our website. Hope you found it interesting. I found it quite interesting, and it's quite a novel sort of item. So thanks for your support as usual on this channel, and don't forget to check our website regularly, and also of course we have regular videos. And although this video is more general rather than for ham radio, I'm sure the ham radio operators will find it interesting. As usual, enjoy your hobby, enjoy your ham radio, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.